My name is Katie Harris, and I'm going to be presenting on the author and illustrator Beatrix Potter. Helen Beatrix Potter was born on July 28, 1866 in London, England. Her parents, Rupert Potter, a non-practicing lawyer, and Helen Leach Potter, lived on their inheritance from the Lancashire cotton industry. Her grandfather, Edmund Potter, was a member of the British Parliament. She and her younger brother, Walter Bertram, grew up with few friends outside their large extended family. She was educated at home by a succession of governesses and had little contact with other children. Not many people are aware that Potter was a very eclectic person and loved collecting fossils. She studied archaeological artifacts from London excavations and loved studying insects. This was a big departure from the cute and fluffy animals depicted in her books. The Tale of Peter Rabbit was her first attempt at writing a children's book. It originated from a letter she wrote to a sick child. It was the story of a rebellious bunny who disobeyed his mother and went to the neighbor's garden. He ate until he was sick, then chased around the garden by Mr. McGregor until he finally found his way through the fence. During the chase, he lost his jacket, and Mr. McGregor hung it on a scarecrow. Once his mother returned home from the bakery, he was given medicine and sent to bed. After this book, she began writing and illustrating children's books full-time. Walt Disney approached her about turning this book into a movie, but Potter declined. More than 2 million copies are sold around the world each year. It is featured in stories and products in more than 110 countries. After her success with The Tale of Peter Rabbit, she wrote a sequel about Peter's cousin and creatively called it The Tale of Benjamin Bunny. In this book, Benjamin Bunny and his cousin Peter Rabbit venture back into Mr. McGregor's garden to retrieve the clothes Peter lost there in The Tale of Peter Rabbit. They find the blue jacket and brown shoes on a scarecrow, but Peter is nervous about hanging around in the garden because of his previous experience. Benjamin steals some onions and wraps them in Peter's handkerchief to give to his aunt. Then he walks around his garden with Peter close behind. A cat traps them under a basket, but they are finally rescued by Benjamin's father. They both get a whipping with a switch. As you might can tell by now, Beatrix Potter wrote stories about animals and gave them human characteristics. The Tale of Jemima Puddle Duck contained characters based on real people who worked at Potter's Hilltop Farms. It was an update to the story of Little Red Riding Hood. The story is about a duck called Jemima Puddle Duck who wants to hatch her own eggs, but the farmer's wife believes that hens can do it better. She tries to hide them, but they are always found and carried away. She leaves to try and find a safe place away from the farm to lay her eggs. She runs into a fox named Mr. Todd, who talks her into laying the eggs in his shed. Jemima lays her eggs, and the fox suggests a dinner party to mark the event. Before Mr. Todd is able to eat her, a farm collie and 2 foxhound puppies chase him away. Not until after he has eaten her eggs. But the collie escorts her back to the farm, where she lays more eggs and hatches 4 baby ducks. Unbelievably, she has never won any literary awards. She lived at a time when the system of book awards was not established as we know it today. She published her books at her own expense. Potter eventually published 24 children's books. She became financially independent of her parents and was able to buy a farm in the Lake District, which she extended with other purchases over time. In her 40s, she married a local solicitor, William Higgs. She became a sheep breeder and farmer while continuing to write and illustrate children's books. Potter died in 1943 and left almost all of her property to the National Trust in order to preserve the beauty of the Lake District as she had known it, protecting it from the developers. Potter's books continue to sell well throughout the world, in multiple languages. Her stories have been retold in various formats, including a ballet, films, and an animation. Beatrix Potter's books, called the best-selling children's books of all time, have never been out of print. Additionally, they have spawned a vast marketing empire, which includes the sales of items from figurines to tea towels, all depicting the beloved characters of her tales. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation about the beloved author and illustrator, Beatrix Potter.